Hello, this is Tim Law with Playing It Forward Coaching and Self-Reliance U. Please subscribe to this channel. I've got some great interviews on here, and one that I'm obviously very much looking forward to is a guy I first met up at Hancock Central School. He was probably, my goodness, elementary school, first or second grade. I think we were doing some kids wrestling way back in the day. And anyway, known him ever since. I think I helped coach him a little bit in JV football back then, and just a great guy. He's done some wonderful things with his life, and that is my good friend Captain Joe Iozzi. So Joe, welcome, and light it up.
Well, thanks for having me, Coach. It's good to talk to you, and I appreciate the opportunity. I've also enjoyed many of the other interviews that you've done. I hope you're doing well, and so I'll get started. I graduated in '87, as you know, and I did have a longing to get into law enforcement when I was probably 15, 16.
Mhm.
I considered trying in New York State, and I did go to college for a semester and wound up dropping out. And it was about that time that New York State Police started to require at least 64 college credits in order to apply. So hindsight being what it is, that was a pretty poor decision. And so ultimately what wound up happening, I moved to South Carolina. I was there for a couple of years. I tried to get into law enforcement in South Carolina. Things weren't panning out. And then I ultimately wound up finding out that Florida allows you to put yourself through the police academy, and it's kind of like a vocation, kind of like cosmetology or anything else of that nature.
Mhm.
So police academies are run throughout the state of Florida through various vocational schools and colleges. And so I moved to Orlando and applied to the Orange County Academy there. I was accepted. It took probably about 9 months before I actually was accepted with a start date. I got certified in '93 and got hired here in the Leesburg Police Department, which is probably about 30 miles northwest of Orlando. And I've been here for over 26 years now, and the rest is history, so to speak.
Wow, very, very impressive, and very resourceful that you chose to look into Florida, as far as being able to, kind of follow your dream and everything. And so, as far as what were some of the, let's say, we'll break this up a little bit as far as some life lessons you may have learned, up there in the wonderful little town of Hancock, Joe, and coming up through. What were some of the main things you learned there? And then we'll just get into your police avenues here.
Well, I would say coming from a small town where everybody watches out for each other and everybody kind of knows each other and what they're doing, uh, I would have to say what the biggest things I got out of Hancock were just basic core fundamental values
Hmm.
that anybody should have in their foundation. So good moral and ethical people that I was surrounded by. Not saying I was perfect by any shape of the imagination.
You were pretty close to perfect, Joe, as I recall.
Uh, and if you would mind telling my wife that, that would be great as well.
You talk to mine, I'll talk to yours.
It'll be the rub. All right.
There you go.
So anyway, I think just the growing up in a small town, I think is an excellent upbringing for anybody. And I think that the people that I was surrounded by there, obviously teachers and coaches in particular, have a huge impact in your life. In fact, and just to cut into a short story, one of the things that I did in 2012 is the department sent me to the University of Louisville,
Mhm.
where you do basically a semester of schooling. It's called the Southern Police Institute Administrative Officers course. So you're embedded on campus there day in and day out with peers from all over the country and all over the world for that matter. There were police officers from Turkey that were in
Wow.
my class. There were probably about 50 people there. And one of the things that you had to do is you had to write about someone that was instrumental in your life. And I actually wrote a little paper about Coach Sawatsky and, how he instilled some fundamental core principles and values into myself and my dad's generation for that matter,
Mhm. Sure.
many, many years after myself. So, it's just you start to realize some of the simple little things from history years later, and how impactful those things are for you. And I just, I was, when you're in that environment, it kind of makes you reflect on those things. And, he was one of the people that I recalled from high school, and some of it was some tough love kind of things. And I also recall the work ethic that you instilled. And I've told stories many times about running stairs in the high school. And, when you got the coach out there getting it done, and leading from the front, so to speak, it makes it, it's certainly incentive for you to keep up and to work your hardest to be the best for yourself. So
we definitely ran a lot of stairs there, Joe, as far as, the wrestling team was concerned and everything. And let me just say something about Coach Zawatsky. He and I stay in contact with each other, along with Bob Rosillo. Dr. Bob is talking to him all the time as well. And I'll make sure that, when I speak to both of those guys, let them know that you and I caught up, and that, what you're doing now and everything. So I just wanted to interject that. But thank you for the nice words.
Give my love and respect when you talk to him, please.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the time that I've been here with the police department, obviously you start off, you're in the patrol division, you're a patrol officer, and you're kind of learning how things work. And so I was in patrol for several years to start off. And then you get some different levels of training. You start field training. I was a field training officer for a period of time.
Mhm.
I went on to a specialized unit, a crime suppression team. And basically we sought out, more violent activity, any the flavor of the day, whatever's going on. It could be burglaries, robberies, could be shootings, anybody that you're particularly looking for. So it's proactive enforcement measures. I did that. I got into our traffic unit, rode a motorcycle, a Harley Davidson, for a few years. And in that unit, I actually promoted and was able to stay in motors, and promoted to corporal and then to sergeant.
Mhm.
And from that point, I was our training coordinator for the department. I do hold, I literally have thousands of hours of additional training, advanced training, and certificates that I've gotten throughout the years. So as a training coordinator, I provided instruction for our officers in the department. I also arranged training to come in and managed basically the paperwork side of getting people to training courses and the like. But so my background and forte and training is primarily firearms. I got onto our SWAT team about a year after I got into the department. So that's something I've done virtually through my entire career, with the exception of year one. And so through that, I've gotten a great deal of training. I'm a firearms rifle instructor. I was a sniper on the SWAT team. I moved to an assistant team leader to a team leader. And now I'm a team commander for a multi-jurisdictional team that involves 3 other agencies and 2 others that are coming on board. So it's in the realm of 35 guys, well over, $1 to $2 million worth of assets. And it's, a little bit of responsibility that goes along with that. So, through the years, I've paid my dues along the way, and now I'm kind of making sure that other people are doing what needs to happen, and trying to get the best out of them at this time too.
Sounds fantastic, Joe. As far as, regular everyday people, civilians, et cetera, what is some of the best things that you would like, as far as we're concerned, as far as being able to contribute and help out, the great job the Thin Blue Line is doing? What in particular would you like to see, more of, we'll say?
Well, I think people should, first off, try to educate themselves on what police departments do and what our goals and objectives are. Obviously, it is to protect and serve our community. Unfortunately, there are always bad apples, and when you talk about 800,000 to 900,000 cops throughout the country, and when you cherry pick the 1, 2, 3, or 4 around the country over the course of a duration of time, that tends to make the battle a little more difficult for us. It's an upward climb. But so what we try to do, we have a community services division in the department, and so we do any number of things that are community driven events. We do a national night out, which basically involves all segments of the community. And basically, it's like a street carnival, but we spearhead it. And it's an opportunity for the community, particularly younger kids, to come out and meet the officers, see the motorcycles, see the big trucks and cars, and just to kind of have fun with cops instead of the possible negativity that sometimes they might be in contact with, or their perception of law enforcement. At Christmas time, we do a shop with a cop program where kids are selected from some of the local schools that come from challenged neighborhoods and have less fortunate families. So we get funding to provide presents to those kids. And then an officer gets paired up with each individual child, and we go to a Walmart or a Target or whatever department store, and we walk around with them, and they ultimately have a budget that we shop with. And every time that happens, you'll always see cops pulling out their credit cards to make up for whatever the difference is. And what the kids is, God knows you're not gonna let them walk out of there without getting what they want. So we do that. We also do a bicycle giveaway at Christmas time as well. That's of a similar nature, but we actually go out to their houses and give the kids the bikes, and siblings some, basketballs, footballs, whatever else that would apply to that age and gender of child. So we do try to do as many community-driven things as we can. And another big thing that's specific to our agency is the JAG games. It's the juvenile athletic games. It involves all of the local elementary schools in our area. It's 6 or 7 elementary schools. And basically, it's like a little mini Olympics that we do, and all the officers volunteer their time to do that. And we give the kids medals and trophies, and that's a great community outreach thing specifically for the kids. So, those are just a few of the highlights of the things that we do. But ultimately, we're always going out to community meetings, to subdivisions and places, and trying to have as consistent contact with the community to do the Q&A for the folks that live in those communities as we possibly can.
No, that sounds really, really great. And how's that been received? Because obviously, in various parts of the country, you have what it sounds like in your situation, strong community, policing where they get to know you and everything. How is that impacted, for example, the prevention or getting some of these, young kids, in the right pathway as far as what you've seen?
Well, it's extremely successful because we have officers that are also in the schools. So the simple fact that children feel a kinship to those officers in particular, and they're able to reach out to them, that allows the officers the opportunity to make a positive difference in that child's life. So that's critical to our success, the success of the community, and the individual kids that they're able to impact. And and anytime that people are talking about pulling cops out of schools, I cringe at the notion, not just from the safety aspect of it, which is definitely needed nowadays, but just for the ability to have a regular, constant dialogue and interaction with children is critical to our success in our community-driven objectives.
Sure.
And I would say we're fortunate.
Go ahead.
We are fortunate here in this area in Florida, contrary to some of the other parts of the country. I would say when things have seemed to be negative toward law enforcement, we've actually experienced more of an outreach from the society that we serve. We'll find a couple of guys will go out and sit down at a restaurant for lunch, and when they get up to pay, they say somebody already took care of your check and those kinds of things. So we do recognize that there are a lot of people that support us in the community, and the people that are maybe on the fence or don't like us so much, we still work to try to build bridges and mend fences and do what we can to still make those people realize that we care about them, and we want to ultimately make their lives better and improve their quality of life just as well as anybody else. So
sure. And anybody, let's say we're talking about a teen or young adult, because it's kind of my wheelhouse. Teen or young adult, let's say that they wanted to get involved as far as law enforcement. Joe, what advice or ideas would you give them?
So right now, some of the recruits that we have and some of the people that pan out to be the best for us, military background is usually pretty helpful. Uh, Law enforcement, we're, paramilitary organization, rank and structure, following directives, policies, procedures, all those things are all necessity items with our officers to understand and reflect in their duties. So military background certainly is advantageous to someone. It's not required.
Mhm.
College is definitely very helpful. It's not necessarily required, but certainly understanding, human dynamics and things like that help you be better in what you do. So those are good preparation fields or areas or things that a kid out of high school can certainly do to better their opportunity. And again, in Florida, you can put yourself through the academy on your own, but if you're 19 years old, which you can get certified at 19 and be hired by law as a cop in Florida, but you're still pretty young at that age. So
Mhm.
having a little life experience and having those early years with something like military or college is certainly beneficial to anybody that's seeking a career in law enforcement.
Mhm, mhm. Good to know. Good to know. What other thoughts, advice that you've learned over time, Joe, that could bring out there for us?
So, and obviously keep your nose clean. I know people told me things back when I was in school, and we always look back and say, wow, they really knew what they were talking about. I probably should have listened a little closer. So making sure that you're just, keeping your lifestyle unsullied to the greatest degree that you can.
Mhm.
And if that's really what your goals and objectives are, is to become a police officer, then you need to reflect that now. You don't have to wait till you're a police officer to try to reflect those values and expectations. So I would suggest making sure that you're keeping your nose clean. I think athletics and team sports and individual sports are outstanding preparation for law enforcement. Because when you get into the field, we work on a patrol squad. So it's a group of people working for the same common goals. And you got to learn how to work with people, different personalities, different skill sets, different abilities and capabilities. So that's one thing. And then we work in smaller teams. Our motor unit does things. The SWAT team certainly has different dynamics, a little more of that the alpha mindset, knuckle dragger types are involved in that kind of thing. But contrary to popular belief in that particular field, we're not really a bunch of dummies. We expect people to be very cerebral, to
Mhm.
be very cool under pressure, and ultimately when you're, knocking down a door at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you know that there's 3 or 4 guys in there that have been robbing, liquor stores or convenience stores. You want to be able to respond accordingly, um, and be physically fit, mentally fit, and healthy, and able to do what's expected of you in that given situation. So, you know, mental and physical acuity is definitely a necessity in the field as well.
Mhm. And I'm sure you've met over your time in there. You've got a lot of friends and confidants and everything like that. As far as you know, it, it's basically it's like a family for you guys and everything. And tell us a little bit about some of the relationships you've established with people within that police family, Joe.
Well, you do tend to find in law enforcement that you kind of gravitate toward one another, and there is a sense of kind of keeping other people at arm's length to a degree, which is kind of a downside of it. And there are some negative aspects in the field as well, and but the cohesion that's gained, and particularly when someone goes through a critical incident with someone else, or any difficult process or task together. So it could be someone that you completed the police academy with, for example. I'm still in close contact with a bunch of people that I went through the police academy with, 27, 28 years ago.
Mhm.
And they work in many different agencies, but I still have close contact with those people, could pick up the phone and call them if I needed something from them. They would be right there for me. going through SWAT school, motor school. I mean, you make a good group of friends. And again, surround yourself with people that are on the same mission that you're on, you know, the people that have the same objectives that you have, and have the same values and principles that you have. And when you do that, I mean, that's the raising tide raises all ships. And, you know, so you can't help but get better by being around those folks. And so when you work in the field, you tend to hang out with those people that you're most accustomed to hanging out with.
Sure. No, that makes a lot of sense. This has been fantastic, Joe. Any last words of thoughts or advice, before we conclude here? And please, by the way, stay on after, I stop the recording, so, we can chat a little bit afterwards. But any last minute things that, you'd like to throw in here?
Well, I would. So if anybody is out there and they're interested in a career in law enforcement, I can certainly help with my agency or any advice in Florida. And I could provide general advice just in the industry as a whole, regardless of where they are. But I can be reached at Joe.Iozzi, Iozzi, at Leesburg, Florida, all spelled out, .gov. So again, it's Joe.Iozzi at leesburgflorida.gov. And I can also be reached through our website at leesburgpolice.com. If you just search in the directory in our website, you can also find my contact information there. So I'd be more than happy to help anybody with any questions that they might have, be it here or anywhere else, or just any general advice. I'm more than happy to help the cause.
Fantastic. Well, obviously, I'm going to get this, put up on the YouTube channel. And again, please subscribe to Playing It Forward Coaching. Anybody who's watching and looking at this. And Joe, I appreciate it very much. We're going to, as I said, get it out there to as many people as we can. I can't promise you're going to go as viral as Wendy Gustin Brown Eyes went, and she's like at 850 views. It's like insane,
She's a tough act to follow, I gotta say.
Yes, she is. Yeah.
That's a young lady for sure.
Yeah. She certainly is. And just a real feather in the cap of Hancock, as you are too, for going on doing the wonderful career you've done. And we appreciate you very much, Joe. Thank you so much.
We come from good stock, Coach. Thank you.
Okay, sir. All right. Well, stay tuned. I'll be right back with you here.
All right.